When we talk about the American market, folks, we had a week with a powerful 1.42% increase. So it doesn't rest. The American stock market doesn't rest since the bottom here, which was in the week of April 7th. It has already risen 32%. I think from what I remember as an investor, I think that here we had from March to September 2020. Here we had from April to July. I think in the short term it was one of the biggest increases that I have ever experienced in the American stock market after a drop, even during COVID. So the COVID rose a lot, yes, but it took many more months to happen. This is what we are talking about: April, May, June, July, 3 months. Rising 33%, folks, it's extremely powerful. Our vision and expectation is that it will have a correction, but we've been saying this for 3 weeks now, and so far this correction hasn't happened. It is way above the standards we have for the market, and we've been talking about the possibility of a rise in the American stock market. In the long term, if American interest rates start to fall due to the amount of new money printed from 2020 onwards and the amount of that money that is in American treasuries, with a decrease in interest rates, imagine where the stock market could go. Could this already be a sign? I don't know. It's hard to predict, but what we can see is that for yet another quarter, American companies are indeed being explosive with their very, very, very powerful results. Indeed. So basically, we have the S&P at an all-time high and not looking back. The Nasdaq is the same, and the Russell, with the small caps a little more delayed, but also in an upward trend, and the Dow Jones is already in its 4th week fighting with the top, also in an upward trend. Europe, folks, is also testing here the top with a more restrained movement. We have Japan breaking its all-time high, closing at what else? In the part that is the highest movement in its history. Could we also see this surge in the Japanese stock market after this agreement between the United States and the Japanese government? Could we have it therefore a new upward leg? We will also follow China after a tariff agreement, with tariffs rising more than 5% in recent weeks, and India working here on a correction. The tariff agreement favored China and for now is disadvantaging India. For those who don't know, there is a significant rivalry between the countries. For those who are the producers of major American brands, this is what is being shown in this difference. Here in the stock movements, gold couldn't break through, made a nice signal here in favor of the American stock market. So it almost broke the high here but gave everything back. We have oil completely stagnant at zero at $67. We have the ore trying to make an upward movement after an upward movement. Then it made a drop. We discussed this within our clubs in our daily lives about the possibility of this drop, and it was no different for the ore, which made a significant downward movement. The dollar is still working here with the possibility of reaching 566. This is the expectation, and Bitcoin at its all-time high is riding the wave of this great appreciation, meaning the market in the US is pulling almost all the stock markets up, including Bitcoin, but bringing Brazil down due to these tariff issues. That's how we're going to enter the week with a more bearish outlook. However, if there comes an agreement not so radical on the part of the American government, And on the part of the Brazilian government, we might indeed have my view contradicted, and the average of 21 prevailing, meaning the person is one day. It's a very difficult video to make. On one hand, we have Brazilian stocks offering buying opportunities. On the other, the Ibovespa offering opportunities for decline, and just a few days ago. Will we be taxed in the biggest way we've ever experienced in our lives or not? We are in this decisive week, meaning the crowd simple. Our life won't be this week, all right? But that's how I'm going to enter, with the expectation of the Ibovespa signaling a possibility of a drop, the S&P signaling a continuation of this movement, and the dollar signaling a rise there to 560. All right, let's move on to the stocks. What worked, what didn't work this week, and also what came in. We had some entries that we already shared within our club. And with that, people are already well informed. All right, let's then look at our stock lists. Speaking of the American market stocks, what we've recently highlighted, what worked, and what hasn't yet. In the first week, VY rose by 2%, making a very volatile move. And then here, an interesting candle showed buying pressure holding here. The price looked good. I like this candle, but it's still not a profit. Same thing with C stock here, well positioned for a rise. We now have this 3-week correction, and XR is the same, a stock well positioned for a rise within a 3-week correction. GM made a wonderful candle, folks. The company reported its profit, and from that profit there was a lot of volatility, but it made a very nice candle. There is indeed a signal for a rise for the week. Let's keep an eye on this. Movement. Google exploded, folks. Thank God. The stock hitting over 10%. Options exploding over 100% in 4 weeks. Operation, thank God, is going very well. There's room to adjust the trailing stop, and yes, a profit is already secured in Google. GPC also, folks, stayed there for 2 to 3 weeks correcting. Buying pressure came in, a massive movement. It even reached here over 100%, already has room to adjust the trailing stop and pocket this profit. Amazon is another stock that performed very well recently, thank God, rising almost 6%. In 4 weeks, its options also experienced a quite interesting appreciation. Net is another stock that this month yielded a great profit as well, with a 15% increase in shares and options also rising over 100%. Chipotle was there. Just the movement of the week, it started the week very well, reaching almost a 6% appreciation. There was room for a trailing stop adjustment. It was a quicker operation, and this is what shows us, folks, the difference in some situations. For example, Net takes, or rather Google takes, 4 weeks here to yield 6%. Or GPC also takes about 3 to 4 weeks to consistently yield 6%. And Chipotle ended up yielding 6% in just 1 week. This shows that the market is not fixed and rigid. This movement already had room for a trailing stop adjustment, and those who couldn't manage are now back to a loss, and we have concluded that we will no longer monitor this movement. EW also had a movement that took 4 weeks. Look how great, hitting over 6%, triggering the trailing stop here. And the S-Bank, same thing, more than 6% in a single week, and now correcting, still within a profit margin, but the stock provided a good opportunity. DM is still going strong. We've been at it for 6 weeks now. This week it reached 8.5% for those that are already older. DG is quite strong at over 20% now, correcting. I believe you are no longer there. Just look at GD. Who would have thought, folks? What a week for GD, hitting a 15% increase in 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 days, folks. And here are the most long-standing ones. And on the selling side, we have T-Mobile here. This one only made a 3% move and is now testing the average in a momentary loss, meaning from the last operations. Most turned out very well, thank God. And now what we have posted there in our club. But here we have FedEx, folks. FedEx stock here showing a nice trend reversal. We have the possibility to buy an option, but the option is expensive. Okay, it's expensive, folks. So the minimum option is $1,644 with the possibility of losing everything. We know that options involve risk in the stock or the action. So this is the risk of the option and the risk of the action. Basically, it's at $20 per share. Okay? $20 per share. So if you buy 10 shares, you can put $200 at risk. If you buy 1,000 shares, you can put 2,000 of 100 shares, 100 shares. Times $20, you can put $2,000 at risk, or you can buy 1, 2, 3 shares with a risk of $20,000 each. So this is our new FedEx operation here on the opportunity of the purchase. Folks, I filtered 6 more opportunities in the American market, but since we still have many opportunities open here, I'm holding back just to limit your risk only to FedEx, because we know that many people still don't have the knowledge of how much to invest and end up taking on much greater risk. So we still have a few more stocks in the American market turning toward this upward opportunity. However, we will only signal FedEx to you with these presented numbers. That's it, folks. If you have any questions, I'm available in the group. God bless you all. Take care. Goodbye.